So we are going to run the country. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world.
It's a potentially dangerous precedent precisely because it normalizes something the world has tried, however imperfectly, to avoid. This idea that a powerful country can cross the border, grab another country's leader, and then call it law enforcement or self-defense. Now, a lot of people will say, good, dictators shouldn't be able to hide behind sovereignty. I understand that. But international politics doesn't work on moral satisfaction. It works on templates. Once a big power shows this can be done, others will borrow the method and they'll use it in ways you won't like. The rule that's being tested is straightforward. You generally don't get to use force inside someone else's country unless that government clearly agrees, or you can show a very narrow, credible case for self-defense. Now, when that line gets blurred, it becomes easier to blur it again. And the law enforcement language is especially tricky. It lets a government say, we're not invading, we're just arresting a criminal. Now that sounds tidy, but it's exactly the kind of wording other powers can weaponize to dress up political operations as policing. Now, take Moscow. Russia has a long habit of labeling opponents extremists or terrorists and using the law as a political tool. If Washington can seize Máduro on narco-trafficking grounds, well, the Kremlin can turn around and say, fine, we have charges too. In the Ukraine context, it's not hard to imagine Russia claiming Ukrainian leaders are responsible for terror attacks on Russian soil, issuing indictments, and then using that as cover for extraordinary actions, attempts to capture officials abroad, targeted operations against leadership, or covert efforts to remove key figures, all framed as law enforcement, not aggression. Russia doesn't need permission to do this. What it needs is plausible cover, something it can point to in the UN or in friendly media and to wavering governments to muddy the waters. We're preventing terror. We're enforcing the law. The Americans did the same. In geopolitics, that kind of narrative cover, well, it really matters. Now look at Beijing. China already treats Taiwan as a legal issue, an internal matter, rather than a political dispute. It also uses categories like separatism and national security to criminalize political disagreement. If it becomes more accepted that elected leaders can be treated as criminals and forcibly transferred, well, Beijing gains two openings. First, justification. It can claim Taiwan's leaders are not legitimate counterparts, but rather secessionist defenders, and that coercive action is therefore law enforcement, not war. Second, Beijing gains targeting. It can ramp up pressure on third countries to detain Taiwanese officials when they travel, pursue extradition-style arrangements, or justify covert actions as apprehending criminals. And in a crisis, Beijing could cite the Máduro precedent to defend a rapid decapitation approach, not necessarily to put someone on trial, but rather to disable Taiwan's leadership quickly while insisting it's acting under a legal and moral exception. So, yes, the precedent risk is very real. The United States may argue that this is a unique case, an exceptional threat, an exceptional set of circumstances, but every power claims its case is unique. That's how you go from rules to exceptions to a world where exceptions become the routine.